All right. Let's begin then. All right. Hello, everyone. Yeah, for those who couldn't make it, we're just recording this so we can send the recording to people afterwards. So yeah, welcome everyone to our 0 to 1 mid-semester pitching event. A quick recap of who we are and what we do. 0 to 1 is a community of student entrepreneurs. We are collectively pursuing our startup, nonprofit, or business ventures. We started last year, and we are currently the fastest growing and most ambitious RSO at UIUC. And beyond that, we have established ourselves as leaders among the general UIUC student population. We have started multiple student initiatives such as Covalence and student-run virtual quad day. Two initiatives which embody our core values of initiative, community, and ambition. So our vision within the next 2 years is to become the premier entrepreneurship organization at UIUC, having the most driven student entrepreneurs, the strongest startup teams, and having the best executive team to support our entrepreneurs with valuable resources and advice. So today's event, the mid-semester pitching event, is the culmination of our 1-month bootcamp and is the final step of our recruitment process for this fall. And right after this, we will officially invite our new cohort into 0 to 1 community. So after 6 intensive startup workshops, brainstorming sessions, and networking socials, our new members embarked on a final 1-week sprint to accelerate their ideas forward as much as possible. For some of our new members, this is their first exposure to entrepreneurship, while for some of our other members, they have already been working on their startups for several months already. So a special thanks to our guests and our advisors being Kieran and Danny, for coming out today to see what 0 to 1 is all about and to check out what new and exciting entrepreneurial ventures our new cohort has been working on. So yeah, so hosting today's event are Tina and Kenan are outreach directors for 0 to 1, and I'll hand it off to you guys to start the event.
Okay, Tina, if you could just change the slide for me real quick. So just to give you a quick rundown about the order that everyone is presenting in. So we have Alan Chen and Alan Jomon, so 2 Alans going first, followed by Manav, Davi, Marjorie's group, Elizabeth, Yagna, and Nirvan, and then Tori, Alyssa, and Anushka Parikh. So we'll be going in this order. You guys have 6 minutes to deliver your pitch. We will allow you guys to share your screen. So hopefully you guys have your presentations ready. And we'll be keeping time just to make sure that, everyone has a chance to present within this hour. And then right afterwards, we're gonna break everyone out into breakout rooms. So you'll have your own individual breakout room, and then advisors as well as like current exec committees. We can enter those breakout rooms and then sort of ask questions accordingly, so we don't waste time with a Q&A after. So whichever sort of like spend these 6 minutes just pitching your ideas. So just giving the floor to Alan and Alan now. You guys can go ahead and share your screen.
All right, thank you. All right, can you guys see that?
Yep.
All right, Alan, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. 10 stories high, overlooking Manhattan's Union Square, is a clock that's counting down our inevitable doom. At the current rate of greenhouse gas emissions, we only have a little over 7 years before an irreversible change to our climate occurs. Based on research from the Mercator Research Institute on global commons and climate change. As of recent, this impending doom has driven many customers, especially millennials and Gen Z, to start buying green. The current US sustainability market is projected to reach $150 billion in sales by 2021. One of the most impactful contributors to greenhouse gas emissions is the life cycle of our food. Between agriculture, deforestation, food processing, storage, manufacturing, and waste, Our food systems account for about half of current American greenhouse gas emissions. However, currently there are no authorities for evaluating sustainability on food supply chains. Customers want to know that businesses are engaging in sustainable practices. According to the Culinary Visions panel, in their 2019 trend forecast, which outlines major food trends for the coming year, 83% of the 5,000 customers surveyed said they wish restaurants would use more environmentally friendly practices.
So here's our solution. Our solution is to create a one-stop shop to evaluate the restaurant's environmental impact. We show consumers which restaurants are and aren't sustainable, influence them to support ones that are. In turn, restaurants hope to increase their environmental rating to satiate this green customer mentality. We use the 5 leaf system, 1 being unsustainable and 5 being the most sustainable. When customers see these leaves attached to those shop windows or on websites, they will know that it's a rating that we can trust. We use a formula evaluating many different aspects of restaurants. Is the food organic? How far did it travel? And what sort of takeaway containers and utensils do they use, and etc. We will have a website in place for customers to learn about various different restaurants, similar to the Michelin Guide, highlighting certain restaurants and their sustainability efforts.
Our total addressable market are all the restaurants in the United States, but initially we are narrowing it down to the states, particularly liberal ones. And then within those, our target market are the liberal and high income areas within those states, such as college towns and cities. For us, it would be Urbana-Champaign.
So here's our business model. Our business model is split into 3 different parts. For our value proposition, we are eco-friendly, nonprofit rating system. We inform customers on the potential impact of restaurants. Our revenue streams will be an annual renewal fee. With each restaurant, we begin with giving them an initial evaluation and certification for free. This would allow restaurants to encourage environmentally sustainable actions. Hence, restaurants will be able to gauge whether customers are being attracted to them by their eco-friendly actions. Lastly, we have our customer segments. This includes environmentally conscious consumers. We have our Gen Z, Millennials, and Gen X that drive our social movement.
Although we do not have any direct competitors, we plan to coexist with current review systems like the famous Michelin star system, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Foursquare, Facebook, and Google Maps, who currently rate restaurants on food quality and experience. We're hoping our leaf system adds on top of that. Here's our timeline projection. Within the first 3 months, we hope to have a functional website where we can highlight certain businesses and what they do to contribute to sustainability, from local hole-in-the-wall restaurants to high-end Michelin-starred ones. And we hope to have rated most of the restaurants in the Urbana-Champaign area. By 6 months, we hope to implement a system to streamline the process and expedite rating restaurants. And we hope to have the majority of restaurants in the Chicagoland area rated. And by 12 months, we hope to partner with national franchises such as McDonald's, Subway, Burger King to rate either the franchises themselves or the restaurants, and have hoped to rate the majority of restaurants in large American metropolitan hubs such as New York, Los Angeles, and Houston. And here's our team. We're both current UIUC business students, and we have a shared passion about environmental sustainability. Alan actually has a experience in the industry, previously running a sustainable athletic wear startup in the Washington, D.C. area.
So join Leaves today so you can save the earth.
And we'll be available for, I'll be available for questions afterward. Alan has to leave now. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Alan and Alan. So next on our list, I believe that's Manav.
Yeah, thank you. Give me 1 second. Can you guys see my screen all right?
Yeah.
Sir.
Perfect. Yeah, so thank you so much. So just to give you guys a small introduction about myself, my name is Manav. I am a sophomore at UIUC pursuing my computer engineering degree. No matter how cliche it sounds, ever since my first episode of Shark Tank, doing entrepreneurship is what I wanted to do. But I believe this venture in particular could impact hundreds, if not thousands of student lives. So before I talk more about what we're trying to do here at Grekia, I'd love to talk about one student in particular who we spoke to when we were just starting off. Amir is a first generation low income student. His parents immigrated from Jordan and his dad is a taxi driver, and his living conditions at home aren't ideal as he has to sleep on a broken couch and hungry on most nights. But despite that, Amir has persevered. He transferred from a community college to UIUC through his hard work. Amir has shown academic excellence and even made it to the dean's list last semester. Amir aspires to be a lawyer, but has been struggling to pay for college through his own pocket as his parents are not able to support him. Amir came to us for help through Grekia, and we want to be able to support students like Amir succeed. So we realized that the best people to approach for this problem would be the alumni of our school. They would be genuinely interested in helping the students from their alma mater and actually help them succeed without the financial stress. So with that vision in mind, Grekia was born. We decided we wanted to mentor students and reduce their financial stress due to tuition by enabling sustainable alumni giving and mentorship. So let's actually take a look at the problem a little bit closer. Since 1978, the cost of studying in the US has jumped by 4 times, double the increase of the US's GDP per capita while accounting for inflation. Because of this gap between the increase in income and raised college fees, university is not as affordable as it used to be. This has led to almost 800,000 students dropping out of college every year due to financial stress itself, and 1 in 2 of them being food and or housing insecure. On average, about 30% of the tuition of these students is currently covered by scholarships and grants. So to cover the remaining 70% of the tuition, we would require $130 billion. So this is where Grekia comes in. Grekia has created a platform to connect the alumni with the students. Alumni can choose students they'd like to contribute to or mentor based on details in the student profile, such as need level, merit level, major. These alumni can be donors and or mentors. The two are not mutually exclusive. Our platform will use AI and ML to make recommendations for the best student match possible. Alumni can also contribute to students on a monthly, semesterly, or one-time basis. Alumni will receive receipts and constant updates regarding the effective utilization of the donations and even appreciation letters from students. While on the mentorship side, alumni mentors will choose from a list of students who requested them as mentors. Mentors will offer 4 to 8 hours a month to the chosen mentees, allowing them to guide the mentee academically and professionally. This will help create a long-lasting relationship between the student and the mentor, potentially giving mentees an opportunity to be recruited by their mentors. While on the student side, the students on the platform will be 100% verified. We'll be asking them to upload institutional documents for verification purposes. Students also have the option of displaying their real name or using a persona, depending on what they're comfortable with. These funds will be directly sent to the student's university account to ensure transparency. The student would come back as an alumni on the platform in the future and donate to similar students, continuing the chain of giving. Grekia is not about one-time giving. We're adding more alumni to the base who will give through a chain. The chain of giving ensures that students who receive funds on the platform will sign an agreement which will state that they will donate at least as much as they receive to similar students in the future, provided that they are financially able. So let's actually look at what makes us unique. There are 4 main points. 1 is chain of giving, as mentioned before. 2 is trust, transparency, and personalization. 3rd is tech focus. And 4th is mentorship. So there are a lot of people who are trying to solve this problem. The most obvious alternative is through the university's endowment fund. However, the endowment fund only uses 5% of the funds every year, while the rest is invested into real estate, stocks, and bonds. This means that the money will actually take a large amount of time to be invested for the students' interest. Another thing we noted is personalization endowment funds is very limited at most universities. At UIUC, you can choose the criteria for students you wish to help only if you decide to give $50,000 or more. Endowment funds in most cases only provide you with fiscal reports, and you do not even get to see the immediate impact of the money you donate. None of our competitors provide any form of mentorship to our students, and that is one of our main differentiators. Something really interesting that we found is that majority of the alumni are actually not giving back to the endowment. The current alumni population in the US is 118 million. From this number, only about 11.6% of the alumni actually give back each year to the alma mater, which is about 13 million alumni. So currently, there's a percentage of alumni who may not be giving back. from our college alumni, we have realized that at least 5% of them are not giving back because they want personalized giving. They want to be more connected to the student as well as the university. These 5% alumni will account for 5 million alumni. Rekia's target segment is the 90%, the alumni who will donate $500 on a semesterly basis. We believe that this target segment is the most important because these small ticket donors want to be connected to the student as well as the university and create a meaningful impact where it's required the most. We currently already have an MVP up and running that we're using to facilitate the contribution between the students and the alumni. Our plan for the first year is to connect with 3,000 alumni across 3 universities, UC Berkeley, USC, and UIUC, for an average donation of $1,000, which will equate to $3 million in our first year. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions later on, feel free to stop by and ask me anything.
Thank you, Manav. That was a good presentation. So next up, we have Davi, who's presenting Reach of Humanity. We have Reach of Humanity is already one of our established projects, but Davi is just going through that the whole bootcamp process. So we're just gonna have him present Reach of Humanity.
For sure. Let me share my screen and see. Can you guys see the slides? All right, cool. Right. So as said, today I'm gonna be talking about our nonprofit organization called Reach of Humanity, and I'll start by showing you a very disturbing fact. Did you know that apparently in the developing world there are over 40 million amputees and only 5% of them have access to any sort of prosthetic care? All in the most of these countries, it's like resources such as technology, infrastructure, and money are lacking completely, and all limb loss usually causes depression, outcast by society, and makes the people unable to perform their duties on every day. So although there is like many locations that demand a solution to this, there's not enough existing solutions and organizations tackling this problem. So what we came up with are 3D print, like the solution that we came up with is 3D printable prosthetics, and we would fabricate these in the locals and give them to the people we need. So here's a few other designs. This is a transradial prosthetic on the left, and the right side is our finger prosthetic. All of our designs are focused to enable for motion of everyday tasks and to allow for user-friendly interaction. They're easy to manufacture due to there not being too many parts. And currently, we already have the transradial prosthetic and the finger prosthetic design already figured out, but we also want to work on a below-knee prosthetic and do some sort of innovation when it comes to socket design. But why did we decide to go for 3D printing here? Well, the main reason is because they're easy to manufacture, even locally in those countries. There's no need for any established industry, such as, I don't know, casting and things like that. All our products can be built with only a single 3D printer. And it avoids any issues when it comes to electronic parts, no extra costs or like sourcing, and we can focus 100% on the mechanical efficiency. There's no need for any interaction with third-party manufacturers. It also avoids competition with high-tech prosthetics startups such as Psionic and so on. Right. So the team is mainly composed by me, Davi, Peter Chen, and Nikita. The reason why I think this is a perfect team is because I have been involved with startups before, especially in COSAD 2019. I was a part of Philify 3D, which is a 3D printing startup. Peter, he interned at Psionic, so he had experience when it comes to designing and operating prosthetics. And Nikita is a PwC intern, which will help us in the business part, especially when it comes to outreach and just getting the word out. So what we're looking for here is a place like places where the limb loss is high and we can who has a need for it, right? And then we need to also look for organizations that are trying to do this locally and trustworthy people who can help us implement our solution. So people that are tech savvy and people that can like give us the resources and provide training to the way that we want to implement. Of course, there's also needs to be some like existing infrastructure. So the place that needs to have electricity and internet access. And when it comes to after our research, we realized that the two main places to start would be to implement this in Guatemala and Gambia. Both of these countries have a very like demand for it especially because most of the work that goes on there is manual labor. So there's a larger chance of injury. And once the person has suffered limb loss, then that person is usually unable to work. So it would be a perfect place to implement our solution and to test it out. So our timeline currently is looking like this. So we have already identified markets that already needed this solution, and we already started like reaching out and building partnerships aside from having our first designs. So all that we need to do now is find some sort of way to test them locally and then go on and do second iteration of prototypes. And then we can begin for local testing, primary testing, and finally an implementation of the actual entire system. So this is some of the organizations that we already reached out to and talked to. Some of them are doing solutions that are somewhat similar to ours, but the main difference from our solution is that it will be focused on like the 3D printing aspect. So the entire thing that makes us different is that all our products don't need like any sort of outside material, all aside for 3D filament. So yeah, we already got in contact with a lot of these organizations and we're talking about partnerships with them too. So that will be something to look out for. So currently, the next steps that we have are outreach. We're going to reach out to local organizations and find volunteers that are willing to help us, like test our product and listen to them and see what design changes we can make. And finally, once we get to actual testing, we're going to print a fully functioning prototype and test it locally. So then we can get the feedback and start working on a second iteration for prototype for starting the actual implementation. Right? So that's all I have. Thank you for listening to me. If you have any questions, feel free to stick around by the end or email me at like davioliva16@gmail. And make sure to follow the Reach of Humanity Project on Facebook. And that's all I have for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Davi. So moving on to our next venture, Marjorie's group, could you share your screen?
Okay, hi guys. So our social initiative project is called Inherited.
Dear Grandpa, even though you may not ever get to know me, I still want to know you. I want to know where you grew up, what your favorite Chinese dish is, what you're doing now. I know somehow you ended up in Haiti, met my grandmother and you're Chinese, but what does that mean for me? What does it mean to be mixed with Chinese? It's not something most people expect when they look at me, and it's not like I could just join a cultural group for Chinese Americans. The closest thing I ever got to learning more about the culture was reading the Joliet Club, but that isn't representative of who you are or who I am. I want to know what you've been through. So how do I find these pieces of myself that only connect back to you? The problem is that growing up and living in America is not always the easiest thing, especially when you're tied between various cultures. I grew up in Chicago, but my grandparents and ancestors didn't.
America is an amazing melting pot of cultures, and being children of immigrants or immigrants ourselves, we've kind of become a fusion of these cultures. And even though this is amazing, we've noticed that a lot of us have been losing our ties and connections with our culture and family stories.
1 in 4 children in the United States have at least one foreign-born parent. The amount of foreign-born people in the United States is increasing each year.
But this doesn't just apply to immigrants. After decades of exploitation and tribal lands being taken away from them, Indigenous cultures are facing a major crisis with their culture being lost, more specifically with food, with the recipes being lost over the generations.
So our solution was to create a place to preserve people's cultural heritages through stories and food, and to share it with others. With Inherited, you'll be able to upload and access recipes relating to different cultures, upload and view the story behind each recipe, and geotag each recipe to its place of origin. Our goal is to mesh culture with food, allowing people to reconnect with their heritage and discover new cultures with food.
So what makes our initiative different is that we're not only providing a platform for people to share their stories, but we're also empathizing with them on their journey to connect back to their roots and embrace their cultural identities. Regardless of our cultural differences, we share a universal bond of food. So we're focusing on the storytelling behind food and its origins. We're consolidating many different cultures and recipes into one centralized platform where people can learn about their own culture and others. So we're a unique fusion of both storytelling and ethnic foods.
Our target groups are second-generation Americans, the people that actually are lacking easy direct connections with their families and cultural connections. Another target group of ours are older generations, people who want to reconnect with the younger audiences and share stories of whether that relates to immigration or any other thing pertaining to their culture. Upon a survey done of about 40 people, some of the ethnicities that were mentioned were Chinese, Indian, Japanese, South African, Italian, and Korean, with ages ranging all across the spectrum. 60.6% said they were passionate about learning more about their heritage, and approximately 40% said they'd like to learn about this through food.
Through our primary research, we talked to many different people, but a few takeaways were that food is represented in each culture differently, but in each one, they have a significant meaning. For our MVP plan, we plan to start out with an Instagram. So where people can share their stories and post about different culture foods and the connection they have to them. Depending on how much traction this gains, we plan to later build out a website for more blogging and outreach. And this website will be users uploaded stories, recipes, and videos. And the basic idea is to have a large map where you can zoom into a location and see what uploads have been made to that location.
Yeah, so this is kind of what our website would look like when you reach the front page of our website. You'll be able to see a big map, and there'll be kind of heat spots, kind of like this how the Snapchat map works. And you'll be able to zoom in into certain locations that you want to zoom into and learn more about. And you'll be able to see stories uploaded by users rooted to that area. And we're hoping to also do like a post of the day kind of thing where we can highlight different cultures throughout the year. So this is kind of what it looks like when you zoom into that area. You'll see your current location, and then you can see some videos or some story that the user uploaded, some memories or some quotes that the user wanted to add, and maybe a food that's kind of meaningful to them. And if they have a recipe, include that as well. You'll be able to go in between stories in this location, and you can see a list view as well. And if you just want to learn about a new location, you can just zoom out and just go to a different area. So some ways we're thinking of maybe making revenue in the future, if we want to, is to have affiliates. And we can funnel users to those affiliates where they can get unique ingredients and cooking utensils they might not be able to get at their local grocery stores, and maybe have a location-oriented aspect as well where they can visit authentic local restaurants and grocery stores. And in the future, if we also wanted to, we could also include kits where we could help people cook the cuisines.
So this is our roadmap. We formed a team that pitched at Startup 54. We're working towards an MVP pitch, and we hope to continue advancing our initiative into a website, app, and maybe even ethnic foods kits in the future. So, Grandpa, even though your story is lost for me, our team wants to make sure it's not that way for others. We want to give people the chance to unpack their past and document their stories for future generations. I hope one day I can learn how to prepare a traditional Chinese dish. And when I have kids, they will know what it means to be mixed with Chinese.
Thank you. So moving on to our next group, Elizabeth, I believe.
Okay. See my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Shaluga, and the startup I'm working on is Econs. When you buy something, do you know how and by whom that product was made? Do you know the impact the manufacturing of that product has had on the environment? If not, that's okay. It's challenging to be an informed and conscious consumer. Although many of us care about the environment and the workers who produce the things we buy, it can be extremely time-consuming to research brands and products, and many companies are not fully transparent about their production and sustainability practices. Most people have trouble finding products made by sustainable, ethical, and/or eco-friendly companies. However, it is vital that we change our consumption habits. According to a study done by the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, between 60 and 80% of the impacts on the planet come from household consumption. That's why I've thought of econs. Combining the ease of online shopping with conscious consumption, econs will be a one-stop online shop for ethically produced, environmentally sustainable products. Offering a curated shopping experience, econs will make being an informed and conscious consumer easy by only selling products of transparent brands with ethical production methods and eco-friendly products. With every kind of product, from beauty and hair care to home decor and food, econs will essentially be an eco-friendly alternative to Amazon. All of the products sold on the econs site will have to meet certain standards. First, they must be responsibly produced. All of the brands sold on econs will utilize environmentally sustainable manufacturing methods, and all workers involved in the production of their products will receive fair wages. All of the products will also be eco-friendly, and cleaning and beauty products will be organic and all natural. We will also try to find brands who use minimal packaging so that we can limit the amount of waste going into our environment. As people grow increasingly more worried about climate change and the effect that our consumption has on the planet, they are more likely to seek out sustainable and eco-friendly brands. 73% of global consumers say they would definitely or probably change their consumption habits in order to reduce their impact on the environment. Evidently, more and more people are starting to consume more consciously, which is why there's such a huge market for econs. Econs' first customers will be my friends and family, then conscious consumers, and then as the website grows, eventually online shoppers in general. Now on to competition. The main two companies econs will be competing with would be Amazon and Earth Hero. All three are online stores with many kinds of products, but econs will be filling in the areas where these two companies lack by providing a conscious shopping experience on a well-designed and user-friendly website. Econs would offer higher quality products than Earth Hero and be distinguished through strong branding. Econs would also offer a more wider range of products than Earth Hero, making it a better substitute for Amazon. So my plan for econs' MVP would be to initially have a simple and minimalistic website design and only focus on one specific category of products, which would be beauty and hair care products, because there are already many eco-friendly and all-natural makeup and beauty products on the market. So in the first 3 months, I want to focus on researching and finding brands to sell on the site, and I want to focus on branding and acquiring customers. Then within 6 months, I want to launch the MVP and start selling. And then around the 1-year mark, I'd like to start introducing more categories of products, clothing, food, toys, etc. And then my long-term plan for econs would be to expand it into all different categories of products and eventually become a popular alternative to Amazon. Thank you. Sorry about my dog.
Thank you. So moving on to Nirvan. This project is also an established project. So this is Project Lockdown. So it's one of our current ventures. Nirvan will just be going through just sort of practicing that pitch. I think you're muted.
Sorry, are you guys able to see this?
Yes.
Hold on, let me start the slideshow. Cool. All right, so hey guys, my name's Nirvan and I'll be pitching for Project Lockdown today. So essentially the problem that we found was a lot of our friends who used bikes complained about the fact that the main reason they used bikes in the first place was because in the 10-minute period that we have to get from one class to the other, walking or using a bike often isn't the most feasible solution. And you'd assume that for them using bikes is, but the reality is using bikes also comes with its fair share of problems. And we realized this when we talk to different people that we know, and there are several things that keep coming up. First and foremost is the fact that when you're in a rush to get from one lecture to the other, you often don't have enough time to go around looking for a proper spot to park. And the second part of that is even if you do find a spot to park, you often end up not parking your bike properly, which leads to one of the biggest problems on campus, bike theft. And secondly, it leads to creating a mess like this, where you have bikes piled on top of each other and not at all walked properly. We as Lockdown set out to fix this challenge. First, we conducted some research and we found that nearly $40,000 is wasted every single year on campus alone due to bike theft, which is just insane. And we also realized that 33% of students said that they aren't satisfied with the security that their own bike lock provides. Following on from this, the goals that we realized is we wanted to encourage sustainable transportation. We wanted people to be able to use their bikes, but at the same time, we wanted to increase bike security, accessibility to parking, and just increase the overall quality of life for people who are using bikes. While doing this, we realized we may as well engage in a digitally integrated system. The solution that we came up with is this. It's a bike lock that comes with 3 main components and can be strapped onto all existing bike racks on campus. Another thing I should mention is the fact that it's really annoying to park on campus because of the fact that there's so many different kinds of bike racks available. And it's not a feasible solution to just get rid of all of them and replace them because that would be really expensive. So we came up with this. It's a bike lock that you can attach to all existing racks on campus. And it composed of 3 main solutions. First off, we have what I call the gooseneck, which is essentially a chain that you can use to wrap up your bike. The gooseneck is actually made from wire rope, which makes it very, very hard to cut. Second, we have the adjustable strap, which is a semi-permanent attachment to the bike rack. And once it's attached, it's nearly impossible to take the lock off the rack unless we, who are able to control that, are the ones doing it. And lastly, we have the box. Inside the box are a series of electronic components which allow us to do several things, including tracking if the bike is actually parked there or not, if it's secure, and if someone's tugging at it, we actually have an alarm system in there too to notify the user, and also all nearby people are alerted that there's a bike theft in progress. So let me go back to that. I did just say notify the user, and what I mean by that is this entire process of locking and unlocking the bike, we plan to connect that to an app. So the way the locking process is going to work is that you check the app first to see the parking availability at the location that you're trying to go to. What you then do is once you find a free parking location, you go there, you park your bike adjacent to the bike rack. You secure the bike wheel and frame using our gooseneck and insert the end of it back into the box to lock it. The interface then hints for you to scan an app using your phone, and this is actually done in a very simple way. You simply take your phone and tap it against the designated location on the box. You receive a notification in the app that tells you you've locked your bike properly, and once this is done, you're able to track your bike remotely, even from in class, to know that your bike is safely locked. Unlocking is just as easy. You receive a single-use unlock code from the app by clicking the unlock button on it. You tap the surface of the box once again, and the system automatically unlocks and releases the gooseneck end for you. You can then manually unsecure your bike from the gooseneck rod and journey on. The most important part of this entire process is this entire thing should take you only 30 to 40 seconds, which is far more efficient than the current way that students have to lock their bike. The main the main people that we will be targeting are students, and we have one of 2 pricing strategies that we've been considering. First is a rental method whereby the students are charged for every hour that they're planning on using our service. And secondly, we have a membership-based fee, which charges them a certain amount for every month that they want to keep using our services. And at the beginning of every month, it gives them a reminder to pay if they want to keep using the service. All payments will be processed directly on the app itself. Furthermore, I'd like to point out that we still have the potential to talk to a UIC for a partnership with them, whereby the locking and unlocking system, instead of with the phone app, can be done with your student iCard instead. So you can almost have like a bike locker. A unique product is what we're trying to offer here, which has no real competition that exists in the market. So looking at 3 different competitions that aren't exactly what we're offering, but similar enough. First off, we have Divvy in Chicago. They're a bike rental service, and we looked specifically at their bike lock. What we noticed here was they offer a very high level of security, but they compromise reliability. And what I mean by that is the fact that with their system, the only time you can actually use the bike lock is if you're locking in their racks, which is something, again, we can't do on campus because we can't just remove all the existing bike racks. Secondly, we took a look at VioRide, which I'm sure you've seen all around campus. And the reality of the fact is they're really not secure or reliable. I've seen VioRides all around campus. They've been hung up on trees. I've seen someone take one up to a roof. It's not secure whatsoever to have a lock attached to the bike itself. Finally, when you have regular bike locks, such as this U-bar bike lock here, it's reliable as long as the student brings it around with them but it's actually not very secure. Not only are students not locking their bikes properly, in addition to that, a lot of these are made to be manufactured at a cheap cost and not necessarily for strength that we're looking for. So our project timeline is by the end of this semester, we want to have a stage 1 prototype ready so we can actually test the entire mechanism. By the end of next semester, we want to implement this in select locations and start testing to see if there's demand and what our chances are for profitability and long-term costs. Finally, by the end of fall 2021, we want to actually implement this throughout all of campus. We have 5 members right now working on this project and have been working on this project for the past few months. We have 2 electrical engineers, Yi and Alex, who have been working on the software and hardware components, while the rest of us have been working on making sure that our design will be sturdy and strong. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to sharing our success story with you in the near future. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions, and I'll be here afterwards if you want to ask anything as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirvan. I did not know my contact information was going to be on there, but cool. Anyways, moving on to the next group, we have finally Tori and Anushka.
All right. Yeah, sorry, my name is different because my laptop died this morning. Like, it won't turn on, so I'm Hannah, my roommate for today. Give me 1 second. Also, I'm gonna have to apologize here because I just tried sharing my screen, but I am not really familiar with Macs. So just bear with me here really quick.
Tina, do we have their slides by any chance?
No, theirs is the.
I did not find your guys' email anywhere, so I wasn't able to.
No worries, no worries. Just get that shared. It's fine.
Oh my God, sorry.
If you want, you can send me the link and I can share it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I can't share. Anushka, you can share, actually.
Yeah, I can share it.
Sorry, I didn't realize like her preferences on here weren't allowing me to screen share.
Can you guys see the slides?
Okay, so our startup venture is eclectic. I am Tori. I am one of the founders and acting CEO.
And my name is Anushka Parikh, and I am the acting CTO.
So what is the problem? Specifically focusing on the fashion industry, I noticed personally that when I would pack for trips or figuring out what to wear when I go out, I would already forget what I own and waste a ton of time trying to figure out outfits. And at the same time, I realized that within my closet, there were very few brands that I owned, and I really wanted to be able to discover more, but I always had an issue doing so. So what I feel embodies the fashion industry is the term eclectic, which by its definition is deriving ideas, style, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources. So our solution is Eclectic, a multifunctional fashion app that features digital outfit creation, digital closet keeping, and personalized shopping for the user. We have also developed a prototype where if you were a user, the first thing that you would see on the main screen is you would have your new arrivals and discover, and our machine learning algorithm would be able to provide you clothing that suits your needs in these categories. On top of that, we also have the closet keeping feature as mentioned. So as a user, here's my closet and I want to go and upload a new item. So here's your screen, you would take a picture, and let's do shirts for now. So when you open it up, you're going to see that you have multiple categories that you can go through. And just to note, each one is entirely customizable. So you are not restrained to the set colors, styles, sleeve length, etc. So how exactly are we going to build this app? Well, Anushka is going to talk more about that.
So our plan to build is that we'll have 2 apps, one for Android and one for Apple. So we'll have a Swift and Android Studios front end design. And then also we'll be implementing Python for the backend so that we can have a machine learning algorithm, as Tori said, for the Discover page. We'll also be storing all this data into a MySQL database and using AWS.
So is there a market for this? Well, during our primary research, I had a friend that actually sat next to me in class. When she was planning her trip to Europe, she had a Word doc open where she had taken pictures of her clothes, put them on the Word doc, and was trying to create outfits doing that, which is what our app strives to do, is to replace that need. And on top of that, clothing itself is it's an e-commerce giant, and it's going to continue to be with the projected growth of the fashion industry. And it just seems like a very open market for us to be able to penetrate.
We also found through our primary research that a lot of consumers tend to find online stores either through visiting them in person or finding them on social media. And a big problem that we found is fashion-forward women. They feel so restrained from all the suggestions that they get from social media, which is why we think our target market should be these fashion-forward women, especially when we first launch our app. We also found a lot of competitors, but we found that their UX design wasn't very user-friendly, and they didn't have a machine learning algorithm to suggest clothes for their users. We also found that these features don't really meet consumer needs, especially through their ratings that we found on the App Store. So how are we going to make money off this app? We have 2 streams of revenue that we're planning to implement. One of them is through those brand revenue partnerships, which we'll have so we can put these brands on our Discover page. We also will have a subscriber base revenue stream where we'll have free users have a limit of 30 pictures on their closet. And if they would like more, they can subscribe to a 99 cents per month fee. So some of our short-term goals for this company is to build the first version of the app. We also plan to have partnerships with small brands so that we can put them on our Discover page. And we're also, as a marketing strategy, we're also planning on having partnerships with micro-influencers. For our long-term goals, once we meet our monthly active user goals, we hope to implement a social media feature where users can share their closets and their outfits, and also have a selling feature where users can share their own clothes from their closet through our app.
So currently, the fashion industry is transitioning rapidly in the direction of online sales. With malls in the decline and the impact from COVID, it's inevitable that fashion will continue to grow as an e-commerce giant. Our app strives to bridge the gap between consumer needs and online shopping by providing relevant content and a user-friendly experience. Eclectic truly has the potential to revolutionize the fashion industry in a way that we've never seen before. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So that concludes our last presentation for today. Tina, if you could just share a screen real quick to the end. Okay, so thank you guys. Thank you, first of all, to all of our advisors and mentors and guests who came out today. I know it's probably pretty early in the morning for you guys on a Saturday, so thank you guys so much. So just to like sort of lighten the mood a little bit, I do have a little bit of a riddle there on the bottom left. So what sounds like a sneeze but is made of leather? If anyone can answer that, you can have extra points, merit points. I don't know what that is going to be just yet. Okay. Yeah, so Megan and Marjorie, you guys are correct. It is indeed a shoe. Get it? But anyways, so moving on to our next stage of our presentation now. So we're going to be breaking all the different ventures into breakout rooms. Advisors, guests, and mentors, you guys, please just message us your preferred projects or like preferred people that you'd like to talk to specifically, and then we will assign you accordingly. So Peter, could you just do that real quick? Yep. So executive committee, you guys are advised to also join in on the breakout rooms as well if you guys have questions for our new cohort. So please go ahead and do that.